Robert X., are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hotep, and thank you so much for joining us again. And I was explaining to the audience that you are going to give them the articles from the information from the last show that we did, and then you're going to get into this fascinating subject tonight.
Yeah, and I think, just based on what I just heard you saying about the Knights Templars, the Masonic Order, the Trivium Quadrivium will feed right into that. So I guess you could say this is kind of like poetry in motion.
Yes, it is.
Because the Trivium Quadrivium is the foundation, the very foundation of the planet as we know it today in terms of building cultures. It's a derivative, a piece of, a corruption of the ancient Egyptian mystery system or the mystery schools in Kemet. So it'll feed right into what we talked about a few weeks ago, and perhaps it'll kind of give people a better understanding of just why the world is in such bad shape based on European domination, using our system in a very corrupt manner because they do not understand all of the secrets of Kemet. And we don't understand it even more than they do, okay?
Right.
So I just hope we're able to shed some light on that. But, yeah,
okay.
let me see if I can give you these 30 or 40 articles on Rupert Murdoch. It's quite a few of them. The first one is Hail to the True Victors of Rupert's Revolution. Hail to the True Victors of Rupert's Revolution. This is from Information Clearinghouse, September the 8th, 2011. As I come to the good ones, I'll kind of give a little brief explanation as to what's in them. But beyond that, you can just go and get the information for yourself because I really want to get into this Trivium Quadrivium. This one is Rupert Murdoch ignorant or an agent of Zionist deception? This is from my Catbird Seat for October the 30th, 2010. October 30th, 2010. This is the article I started out with the last time. Rupert Murdoch's Deeply Hidden Jewish Roots, a biography by Christopher Boylan. Christopher Boylan from the American Free Press. American Free Press, July 16, 2011. That deals with his upbringing, his grandmother and his mother, his Jewish side, and why he chose the Jewish side as opposed to his Gentile side. This is the beginning of the Murdoch scandal as it was beginning to be reported in large part in the media. It's called Pair Bailed in News of the World Hacking Probe. Pair Bailed in News of the World Hacking Probe. April the 5th, 2011, The Guardian. And that basically deals with the two people who began the unraveling of the spying based on Rupert Murdoch's connection with police, the Freemasons, and people that he was basically paying in his media organization, News of the World. Here's another one. As ex-aide arrested, pressured Cameron vows media reform. As ex-aide arrested, pressured Cameron vows media reform. This is from Reuters for July 8, 2011. Okay. This one is Major Spy Scandal Suppressed. Major Spy Scandal Suppressed. Murdoch's national security threat. Murdoch's national security threat. This is from my Catbird Seat for July 8, 2011. July 8, 2011. This one is entitled Murdoch's Tabloids. Targets included Downing Street and The Crown. This basically deals with Murdoch's operatives basically spying on the so-called royal family, the Queen and her family. And so you can see, even though these people work together, there's no honor among thieves. and this is from the New York Times. And what's interesting about this article is it deals with the guy who used to work for Murdoch on the entertainment beat, who would subsequently be murdered. His name is Hoare. He was subsequently killed, and of course, when he was killed, the police said there's no need to look into this because he just died. But of course, you have to understand the connections between the police and the Masons, because they assassinate people on demand. That's what that whole Norway thing was about. Okay, this is from the New York Times for July 12, 2011. July 12, 2011. This one is entitled Murdoch's World, Demagoguery, Propaganda, Scandal, Sleaze, and Warmongering. This is from a white guy named Stephen Lindman for July 17, 2011. Good article. Again, it talks about some of the historical things involving Murdoch, and he gives like a chronology of the News of the World downfall and David Cameron, the Prime Minister's complicity in this stuff, about hiring as his press secretary one of the upper echelon from the Murdoch News of the World operation, who was fired because of the spying. He went straight and started to work for Cameron to be Cameron's mouthpiece. This is from Rents.com, July 17, 2011. And Stephen Lindman writes very good articles for a number of different websites, and he's based right here in Chicago. So, white guy, but, you know, he speaks truth, so no matter what the color, as long as they speak truth, then I can speak it. This was entitled, Revealed, Senior Members of Parliament Secret Links to Murdoch. Secret Members of Parliament, Secret Links, Senior Members of Parliament Secret Links to Murdoch. This is from The Independent for July 17, 2011, and that title is self-explanatory. Then we get to the witch, the red-haired demon, who was having sex with David Cameron, the current prime minister. She had sex with Gordon Brown, the former prime minister, and she was sleeping with Tony Blair, one of the most infamous prime ministers in the history of Great Britain, and he's somehow looked upon as a good guy, okay? Tony Blair. Her name is Rebecca Brooks. She ran News of the World for Rupert Murdoch, and you'll see her, a very evil-looking woman, looked like she just walked off the set of Eyes Wide Shut, okay? Which in itself should require everybody to go and take another look at that movie, because as I explained before, there was a recent orgy in a 17th century castle where 300 of the very well upper crust in Britain all got together in costume and had an orgy using the same costumes as in that movie Eyes Wide Shut. So they brought Eyes Wide Shut to life. And anybody remember that movie? Tom Cruise was introduced by accident into the world of the upper crust, where these things happen in a systematic manner and have been happening in a systematic manner for quite a long time. Sister, if we are able to do both of these parts today, when we deal with the pedophilia thing, I'm going to show you and the people the relationship between what we talked about in terms of Eyes Wide Shut and the fact that there's a pedophilia thing at the upper levels all over the planet with many of the intelligence communities, particularly CIA and MI5 and MI6, being involved in kidnapping children for the elite, where even ritual sacrifice. And there was a group in this country called the Finders Group. We'll deal with that hopefully tomorrow. I don't know how much time we're going to have.
Okay.
But the Finders Group was busted in this country, and we come to find out that even though they were busted with the children, it was a CIA front company where they were kidnapping children and sending them all over the world on demand to the upper crust on the planet, people that are connected to this thing, this pedophile thing. And by the way, they're in the process of attempting to legalize pedophilia, along with other things, through the American Psychiatric Association. Okay? But this is Rebecca Brooks' arrest raises questions over James Murdoch. This is from the Telegraph, and it talks about her arrest, where she didn't get arrested. She basically turned herself in as if she had an appointment with the police on a Sunday. On a Sunday, because they were going to testify. She was going to testify along with Rupert Murdoch and his son that Tuesday. That was when Murdoch got hit by the shaving cream pie. But she was going to testify that Tuesday. So when she got arrested, that gave her the cover such that she didn't have to answer very many questions when she was when she went to testify before Parliament, because that would have basically violated her rights to due process. So she didn't answer very much when she went before Parliament. Anyway, that's what this article deals with. This one is Rebecca Brooks' arrest intensifies phone hacking crisis. And this one tells where she screwed her way to get out of jail, or to get out of jail free position. This is from The Guardian to July 18th, 2011. This is the one dealing with Mr. Hoare. It's entitled "News of the World Phone Hacking Whistleblower Found Dead," and where the police said the death was unexplained, but it wasn't suspicious. And people that knew him said that he was so scared that he had went into his home and refused to come out, had all the shades pulled down, and had told his people that they were going to try to kill him. But somehow when the police goes to investigate on the very day, this is the same day he get killed, they issue a statement that said the death was unexplained, but it wasn't suspicious. After he told everybody they were going to try to kill him.
Right.
Again, that shows you the complicity on the part of the police and the Masonic Order, and how they work hand in hand and are, in fact, one and the same thing in Britain and other places. This is from, again, The Guardian for July 18th, 2011. This one is from Yahoo News. Police phone hacking whistleblower found dead. Same day, July 18th, 2011. Okay? And this is a real good article, even if it came from Yahoo News, which is only a very weak source. But in this case, they did a real good article, again, dealing with Hoare. And I say it's interesting that his name is Hoare, because that's basically what he's working around. But the way you spell his name is H-O-A-R-E, Sean Hoare. Okay?
Okay.
So I said that he was just one whore among many. This one is from The Guardian for July 18, 2011, same day. Sean Hoare knew how destructive the news of the world could be. And again, this one is talking about him pointing the finger at this guy named Andy Coulson, who was a higher-up in News of the World before he went to become the mouthpiece, the press secretary, if you will, for David Cameron. And, of course, once the then media, the other media who was against Murdoch, began to talk about this, he subsequently resigned from David Cameron's administration. But it was a little too late. Cameron went to Africa to try to allow things to simmer down, but they were so hot he had to come back the next day. They always try to look what they call presidential, and Barack Obama is no different from this. He does the same thing. When he got ready to pass that bill for the Hispanics, he went on vacation because he knew nobody was going to be able to ask him no questions. Okay?
Right.
Or when they get ready to go and bomb and kill people, and again, he's no exception to this. This guy, Awalaki, who they just killed, and we pointed out that in 1999 he was in the Pentagon having dinner. The same guy. And just before the Box Obama incident there in Detroit, Al-Awlaki, the press asked Obama, because Al-Awlaki was in this country the week before that. They asked Obama if this guy should be arrested because the Fort Hood shooter had, according to the media, and I didn't hear from him, so I question it all now. said that he was getting his instructions from al-Awlaki online. But Obama said, let al-Awlaki go. And he went to Yemen. And then 2 days later, after the bombing, or after the so-called attempted bombing on the airplane, Obama orders the intelligence community to try to kill al-Awlaki. And they've been trying to kill him ever since. So now if they had him here in this country, he had dinner in the Pentagon before 9/11, why would they try to kill him 2 days after that phony boxer bomber incident? It doesn't make any sense unless now he's dead, right? They're supposed to kill him with a drone. Now he's dead, sister. And no, again, just like with bin Laden, no body, no evidence, no nothing. No nothing. Here's the deal. I'm just letting your people in on what I see with this thing. They're setting the premise for the future administrations to kill American citizens at will. Because that guy was an American citizen, you ain't seen a shred of nothing that said this man committed a crime. But yet they had no problem allegedly dropping bombs on him if they in fact killed him. No trial, no evidence, no body, no nothing. Just take the government's word for it and accept that this is what they're telling you the truth. Put a black face on the lies and maybe you'll believe it. But now people are starting to wake up from Obama and see that bastard just for what he is. There's a very recent article in Reason Magazine, called Empire of the Sun, S-O-N. And it's talking about Barack Obama, Obama's connection to the intelligence community, his African daddy's connection to the intelligence community, his stepfather, who his mama married after she divorced his biological father, his connection to the intelligence community, and how his father and his stepfather were both trained at the East-West University in Hawaii, which was a CIA front university that they set up, okay, to train international students to go back and serve as intelligence operatives for the CIA, okay, to kill people who were in opposition in Africa, in terms of where his father is from, and from Indonesia, where his stepfather is from. And that's what they did, okay? So it goes on to talk about his mother's connection through Ford Foundation money and the Agency for International Development that you and me and the sister talked about in terms of Haiti. And she said she was so glad that, you know, somebody in this country knew about the Agency for International Development. I told her I've been studying the Agency for International Development for over 20 years. It's another name for CIA. Okay? So you see, sister, I'm adding stuff in because all of this goes together. None of this stuff is disconnected. All right? But this article from The Guardian, Sean Hoare knew how destructive the news of the world could be, is a very good article. The date is, again, July 18, 2011. This one is from the Business Insider for July 18, 2011. Fox News producer claims the nation's or the network's brain room led to hacking. This is from one of the guys along with, I forget the guy's name, who started Fox News. He came right out the Republican Party. He ran the Republican National Committee. Can't think of his name right now, under Reagan. But it was him and this guy who he subsequently, they fell out. And he's pointing out that Fox News is situated like an intelligence operation with certain rooms at Fox News headquarters. You have to have a particular passcode to get in the room. There are no windows or anything. And so he says that it's basically an intelligence operation. And this is one of the guys who started Fox News, okay? So you can see why people are so upset at Fox News and see it as a right-wing organ. I don't separate Fox News from CNN and any of the rest of it because I know it's all intelligence. That's why you're not hearing any of these things, even though it's in the British media. But they report what they want to report when they want to report it. This one is entitled Sean Hoare and George Webley, now dead. George Webley was a radio TV personality in Britain who also used to work for News of the World and pointed out that it was a criminal organization. And guess what happened to him? He came up dead. This is from July 20th, 2011. So now we got two bodies dead. Both of the guys who talked about the Murdoch operation and what it really was. And when you go back and look at the history of Murdoch, you find out that he is, in fact, a Mossad operative. He works with Israeli intelligence. Okay? Here's another one that's similar to the last one from the London Telegraph. It's called Rupert Murdoch's Fox News ran Black Ops Department, former executive claims. And again, this is basically illustrating the same thing that I just got through talking about with one of the two guys who helped set up Fox News initially. He comes out and says that Fox News is basically a black ops. Black ops, that's psychological operations, okay? Black ops is used in the intelligence community to talk about what they do. They call it black ops. But this is from the London Telegraph, July 20th, 2011. This one is from the express.co.uk. You can just Google the London Express. For July 24th, 2011, dead newsman's computer seized. This is self-explanatory. They went and got Mr. Hoare's computers because they didn't want nobody else to go in and get the information. And, of course, there's been nothing said about what they found on his computer. This one is for August 16th, 2011, a new bombshell in phone hacking scandal. Former Royal editor Clive Goodman alleges that phone hacking was widely discussed at editorial meetings. So now other people inside the Rupert Murdoch empire are beginning to talk about the fact that in spite of what the higher-ups at News of the World said, the management, as well as Murdoch and Murdoch's son, were very much aware that spying was going on. When he testified before Parliament, Murdoch and his son, James Murdoch, said that they didn't know what was going on. Well, now we find that other people inside that operation are beginning to squeal and say that they knew full well what was going on and that they had meetings on it. That article deals with it. This one...
And don't forget about Murdoch's daughter. They're talking about putting her in charge.
Oh, yeah. Again, that's to throw cold water on it. But in the meantime, they've closed down News of the World, and there's a FBI investigation. And I don't think nothing's going to come up with an FBI investigation here because the same people that Murdoch worked for run this government, the Zionists, that nobody wants to talk about. But don't dare deny that they, in fact, run this government, okay? They tied Obama up in knots. So you and I have been talking about this since shortly after he got in office. And one of the first forums we did on Barack Obama was right there in Detroit 3 years ago, where we told everybody what we're saying now about this guy coming out the intelligence community. But black people were so enamored with a Negro being in office that they didn't want to look at who he was. But yet they were complaining about Clarence Thomas. Let me tell you something. There's not 17 cents worth of, maybe 16 cents worth of difference. But the damn show ain't 17 cents worth of difference between Clarence Thomas and Barack Obama. And in many respects, Barack Obama is worse. If Clarence Thomas was a good-looking guy, nobody would be raising hell. But nobody can deny that Barack Obama, not Clarence Thomas, is killing African people and running around grinning about it. Grinning. He's bombing the hell out of Somalia right now, and nobody's seeing that. The media acting like it ain't happening. Using these damn drones, chasing some so-called Al-Qaeda that they set up. And he damn well knows it because, as I said, nobody from bin Laden, no pictures, no nothing, no evidence that that guy was ever involved in anything. It was just government propaganda. And the same goes for al-Awlaki. And damn near all of the people that they keep profiling as the heads of Al-Qaeda were raised right here in this country, and there are, in fact, Jews who they say converted to Islam. I'm saying they're all still operatives And if you do not understand the intelligence community, you cannot understand politics in this country because they're one and the same. That's why you hear me talking about the intelligence community so much. Because now with the privatization of the intelligence community, the Jews have taken control of this government. If you can assassinate people because you're from the intelligence community, or you can intimidate people because you're running the intelligence community, you control the government.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on here. And people are looking for this half-white boy, this three-quarter white boy. I'm sorry, sister. This 7/8, I'm sorry. This 11/12 of a white boy. Well, let's say 99% out of 100, that everybody can understand that. This 99% out of 100% white boy, and I'm talking about his brain. I don't care what his color is, because Clarence Thomas is blacker than him, but he's just as white as Obama. And in many respects, again, he may be blacker. But this one here, phone hacking, the smoking gun, deals with the fact that Murdoch and Cameron got their fingerprints all over this so-called hacking, which ain't really hacking. It's basically surveillance, tracking people by phone, just like they're doing us. This is from The Independent for August 17, 2011. This one is from Bloomberg. Bloomberg for, what's it down? Oh, August 17, 2011. Computer hacking may be News Corp's next scandal. So now they're calling the phone thing hacking. So now they're saying they weren't just hacking by phone, they were hacking into people's computers as well. So you can't call them both computer hacking, or can you? Because, see, now, if you really look at the phone as a computer, okay, where your battery... Exactly.
The new phones are computers.
That's right. With your battery being the modem for all practical purposes, okay? Yeah. And even Sister OnStar. Now, I remember, Sister, many years ago, before when OnStar was first put out here, we were telling people that you're going to be able to turn your car off and you can stand outside. But don't be against the government, because they still going to be listening to you even when you turn your damn car off. Okay? Kind of like these smart meters that they want to put in everybody's house that you and I got to do something on that in the near future.
Yes, that's another interesting thing that's going on.
Yeah, it all goes together, sister. From the wires, those coaxial cables that they made everybody get as soon as Barack Obama came in office to switch your TV over so that they can have that other frequency to monitor everything that's got a chip in it. That's why they did that, okay? And, of course, we talked about it when we came to Detroit a couple of years ago. But what this article in Bloomberg talks about is that these guys were basically caught with their pants down, okay, and they butts in the air, and that now they've moved away from the phones straight to the computers. This one, phone hacking. James Murdoch admits hush money payout. So now once things start to get hot, James Cameron admits, after the people from News of the World said, yeah, we've been talking about these things, and now James Murdoch comes out and admits that News of the World was paying hush money to people who realized that they were being surveilled, okay, and said that, in fact, they did pay them to keep them quiet. This is from August 17, 2011, The Telegraph, okay. The Independent for August 18, 2011, fresh links between murdered investigator and News of the World. Fresh link between murdered investigator and News of the World. This is about a guy named Daniel Morgan who used to work for Murdoch on the Black Ops side. He was getting ready to do something they didn't want him to do. His partner was a policeman or ex-policeman. They found him with an axe in his head. Okay? Very interesting article. It's from The Independent for August 18, 2011. You know, since I haven't dealt with these, some of them I don't quite remember, but I know that's a damn good article. Just as this one is. It's also from the Independent. And this one is really, really, it tells you just what and how politicians really act and react. This one talks about the more senior side of high-profile politicians at the top of the electoral thing, and how in their private time they do all kind of stuff, snort cocaine, and then come out before you, holding their nose, telling you, that you got to go to jail and spend 20 years in jail for smoking a joint, while these damn politicians get in their little circles. And I'm talking about high-profile people, media people, and the like. Go ahead, sister.
And George Bush Jr., we could see that a lot with him. He was caught in pictures high, drunk.
That's right.
He was
and
caught
don't
on
forget
camera.
Clinton's own brother.
He's another one. I forgot about him.
That's right. Roger Clinton said his own brother said Clinton had a nose like a Hoover vacuum cleaner.
Yeah.
I'd never forget that quote. Okay? But, he smoked what he didn't inhale. Mm-hmm. Anyway. I mean, all these people are lying. Barack Obama, in his own book, in his own words, talked about how he, used dope. Yeah. But somehow, and they got the highest office in the land, and they ain't got to take drug tests. I guarantee you, sister, most of these people, if they have to take drug tests, they couldn't hold office.
Yeah.
I mean, just think about that, people. All these black people, they locking up. But they supporting the banking system that's laundering drug money like nobody's business. And the major media is writing about it. And the government said they can't arrest them because the banks got to get out of jail free card because they've been already determined to be too big to fail. And if they're too big to fail, then they're too big to go to jail. So nobody goes to jail while Bank of America and Chase Manhattan and all the rest, and Citibank, all of them been busted laundering drug money. Wells Fargo, all of them. Okay? But they won't lock up the little guys out here on the corner and play this phony-ass war on drug thing where they know you can't separate the banks from the drug dealers in Mexico. That's all being controlled by the Mexican government.
Well, how are they going to arrest the bankers when, remember, Daddy Bush, when he was with the CIA, that's what they did.
That's right. And that's the point. They want to lock up the people for I think people ought to be able to do what the hell they want to do as long as they don't do it to me. I ain't got no problem with it. Okay? Personally, never considered there to be a drug problem in the black community. That's not a drug problem. That problem is psychological in the black community. It deals with stress and a whole lot of other things that make people use drugs. And so if you don't deal with that, you ain't never going to stop the drug thing. This country is toxic. It's creating an environment where if you ain't crazy or paranoid, something wrong with you. Now, that's real. Well, let me go on here because what this article is headline, sister, is this article from the Independent for August 18, 2011. Chancellor was targeted by News of the World hacker, says dominatrix. And for those who don't know, a dominatrix is normally pictured as a woman who wears leather and she got the whips and the chains and she beats people. Where this dominatrix is talking about her association with high-profile people, particularly the Chancellor in Great Britain, or not so Great Britain. Okay? His name is George Osborne, very closely connected to James Cameron. Talked about him and others, high-profile, in the British government, that she used to beat them and feed them cocaine, and she even took pictures of them. And he's trying to say that ain't cocaine that's on the table. Those white lines ain't cocaine. I imagine he says baking powder. And if they had him put it up his nose, he probably said it was crushed up aspirin or something.
Right.
Because, I mean, if you haven't learned that you can't trust politicians and what they say, because every time they open their mouth, they lying, and I'm not exaggerating. That's why the country is going to hell in the handbasket, and the planet is going to hell in the handbasket, because we put faith in the people that do nothing but lie to get elected. Now, here's the one that deals with Rebecca Brooks sleeping with all the crime ministers. It's from the Telegraph for August 22nd, 2011, this headline, Phone Hacking, David Cameron's Love Letters to Rebecca Brooks. David Cameron's Love Letters to Rebecca Brooks. August 22nd, 2011, The Telegraph. Now, this is after Cameron goes before Parliament and tells them that, you know, even though she lived right down the street, a block from me, at least she never visited me in her pajamas. No, she probably visited you with her ass out. She probably had her panties in her purse because she knew she wasn't going to need them. Okay? These are very nasty people, folks. They're very nasty people. And to look up to these people is absolutely insane. And they got the nerve to tell poor people that they're allowed to riot. Don't you riot no more, otherwise we may give shoot-to-kill orders the next time. These people have absolutely no morals, none. And they use bombing of different countries and assassinating and dropping bombs on people as events to basically deflect your attention. It's to get the focus off of what they're doing, okay? Now, this article, one of the best I have, basically deals with the Masonic connection. Right here, the first page of that article, it talks about this guy named Jonathan Reeves, who was a Freemason, and using his Masonic connections inside the police force to, in fact, spy on people. It's from The Guardian for June the 8th, 2011. June the 8th, 2011. It's entitled, Freemasons Set Up Network of Corrupt Police, Custom Officials, Taxmen, and Bank Staff to gain valuable information. All right? This one is entitled, Murdoch has blood on his hands. That's not that important, so I'll go past that one. This one is not that important. Phone hacking, Murdoch paid U.S. anti-bribery law. That's on the front of this one. I say this one is not that important because on the front of it is the former New York Attorney General, who himself, while he was locking up people for prostitution and things like that. Y'all remember Elliot Spitzer. Remember that situation with Spitzer?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he was supposed to be, you know, beyond reproach. And next thing you know, now it's a married guy now, just like Jesse Jackson. He paying hoes on the side, on the slide, while he running around here in front of the cameras, criticizing hoes. And I'll never forget this hip-hop song called You Gotta Let a Hoe Be a Hoe. I think that was TLC back in the day. And this is how I see politicians. You gotta let a hoe be a hoe. Because that's what they are. Anyway, let me go on. This one is Murdoch Intelligence Gathering Network extended to U.S. Congress. This is by Wayne Madsen. And this is always, anything Wayne Madsen writes, I suggest people take a look. And it's self-explanatory for July 18, 2011, okay? Talks about Murdoch's connections here through Fox News, right? And here's one more here, phone hacking, profile of Sean Hoare, the guy who, one of the first guys who got killed, the News of the World journalist and whistleblower, July 19, 2011, The Telegraph. And I think I used this article to show how you can identify certain people in the mainstream media who are part of the intelligence operations because they tend to write stories that's totally outside of what everybody else wrote. Because their role is to get you to sow some doubt into your mind as to what you see and to get you to look in the other way. The New York Times and the Washington Post and CNN are excellent at that. I mean, excellent. But for those of us who've been following this stuff for a long time, we know how they do it and what they do. You'll be able to see it when you read that article, okay? And then read the other ones. And you'll say, well, how can the same newspaper with all these reporters writing one thing, somebody else writes something totally opposite, okay? Now, here's another one from The Independent for July 27, 2011. Murdochs were given secret defense briefings. Murdochs were given secret defense briefings, and of course this one is self-explanatory, shows the connection between Murdoch media and the military-industrial complex that extends to Britain. And I want people to understand, the military-industrial complex is not just in this country. It's an international apparatus, okay? Because all of the major arms dealers, the weapon dealers, they all work together, okay? And one of the last ones I got is called Phone Hacking, News of the World Reporters Letter Reveals Cover-Up. And, of course, this is dealing with that guy, Clive Goodman, who wrote a letter to one of the other alternative media talking about Rupert Murdoch, Andy Coulson, who went to work as mouthpiece, and others who are all complicit in the spying on people, politicians, opposition, and that kind of thing. So those are the articles that I have, sister. I hope that anybody who heard these articles, go out and get them, because I didn't, I talk so much sometimes because I can't divorce things, because I want people to begin to see the patterns in a lot of these things. And so I don't know what anybody else does, but when I talk, I very rarely stick to a particular subject because I can't leave out these other connections to these things. And I think that it helps rewire people's brains, because if people understand the nature, or once you understand the nature of Trivium Quadrivium, you'll understand why people coming out of the educational system today are being told what to think and not being told how to think, because that's what the Trivium and Quadrivium does. It allows you to be creative in terms of your thinking and to expand on that level of knowledge that you already have based on your thinking, as opposed to the school, which has something called a curriculum that they basically cut off, and they determine what's important and only allow you to exist in the area of education in this particular realm. And if you write something outside that realm, even if it's within your curriculum, and your teacher don't like it, they can give you an F. They can fail you for that class, but they call that education. If you go in any classroom today in America and you talking things outside of the norm, because again, people have to understand that the people from the military-industrial complex, you'll note, when they leave government, many of them end up going to become parts of the faculty at major universities in this country. That's what happens.
Now, a lot of people, might be the first time that they even heard about the Trivium Quadrivium. What is that? What is the Trivium and what is the Quadrivium?
Okay, that's a real good transition, sister. It is, for the most part, the 7 liberal arts. Now, what do I mean by the 7 liberal arts? If we break this thing down, what you basically have is the Trivium represents the 3, okay? And let me add, sister, that this is based on the Pythagorean triangle. The Pythagorean triangle. And it basically represents our way of processing information. You got the 3 sides of the triangle, which is, for the most part, symbolic of how we process that information in an orderly manner through 3 phases. That's why they call it trivium, okay? That's through grammar, knowledge, and rhetoric. Grammar, knowledge, and rhetoric. And that once you understand that at no time should you allow an emotional attachment or any argument to supersede the importance of getting to a logical conclusion based on the information that you acquire, such that it creates, the rappers call it a flow. That's what you mean by a flow. In athletics, they call it being in a zone. It's the same deal. And once you get in that zone, nobody can stop you, okay? Now, I'm not sure what the sisters call it, but it's the flow, all right? And that grammar involves the collection of information and formulate that information into a coherent, understandable construct or system, okay? Logic is taking that information and removing parts of the disagreement to make it flow, to form a non-contradictory flow, okay? And rhetoric is verbalizing that body of knowledge and logic through grammar and logic to people so that people can better view and, how can I put this, it will allow for the people to respond in an advanced manner or in a given situation to the information based on how you present that information. It will inspire people to do things. And that's why Malcolm was so effective with his rhetoric, because he used this system of grammar, that's the language, and logic, that's based on the body of information, to inspire people to do things. That's the rhetoric. That's how powerful rhetoric is. So when you hear people talking about, oh, you're just talking that rhetoric, well, everything is rhetorical. The question becomes, is it effective rhetoric? And apparently, the white people's rhetoric is better than ours, because they got us chasing up behind them like dogs chasing their tails. And so those of us in the conscious community, we got to step up our game in terms of our rhetoric to reclaim our people about getting our bodies of information, using their grammar and ours, you know, be it in the world of hip-hop or whatever, because metaphysically, which also is a part of the Trivium Quadrivium, the rappers use something called metaphors. Metaphors. All of the meta is primarily dealing with the acquisition of information based on the metaphysical age that we now find ourselves in. And I'm going to show you, sister, give you a real classic example of what I'm talking about here. Everybody can go and get this. This is today. This has just happened a few days ago. There's these elements, or this energy called neutrinos. Anybody can Google it, N-U-T-R-I-N-O-S. These neutrinos, and I think we talked about this, sister, back in March. I'm sure we mentioned it. If I didn't, I was in error. But these neutrinos, it was theoretical at that time that these things travel beyond the speed of light. It is no longer theoretical. It is now a fact. And what that means, sister, is that the whole foundation of science in this society and on this planet, in terms of white supremacy or European culture, is based on Einstein's theory of relativity, E equals mc squared. But that deals with the speed of light. Now, if the speed of light has been broken by this new energy force that basically, sister, travels and has traveled to this planet from coronal mass ejections from the sun. And they travel so fast that they go through people and everything on the planet. Okay? They travel through you. This past week, sister, we had a major coronal mass ejection Tuesday. Thursday, we had 60-mile-an-hour winds here in Chicago that were predicted to happen at 4:30 and 20 seconds. It happened at 4:30 and 20 seconds. It's like somebody sitting over the planet just blew over one spot over the planet. And let me tell you something, sister. The last time I had my body feeling like that, where I couldn't do anything, because I think these are some of the things that's altering the DNA of the people. These neutrinos, this other energy force that exists outside of the current paradigm of matter. And some of the literature says it, in fact, is changing the matter. Okay? And so when you hear people talking about the 144,000 and ascension and all that kind of stuff, the religious people got people hornswoggled because they don't understand science. In the metaphysical age, which is the basis for quantum physics, which is the age that we're in, is neutralizing religion through the science because it's taking us back to the original religious concepts, which basically were predicated on metaphysics. And the last 4 parts of the quadrivium that we're going to come to deals with metaphysics. Because for every physical side, the last 4, there's a metaphysical side.
That's true.
Okay? And this is what they're headed back to. And the quantum physics or quantum mechanics is basically revealing this. So the science is revealing the true religion that our people practice with a vengeance. But now we find our people following, still chasing this white boy and his bastardized version of our history. And if anybody comes to many of our people and tries to give them this history, they totally reject it based on one book. And I tell my people, I know people love the Bible, okay? I know our people love that Bible. But I'm going to ask you, would you send your children to college and claim that they're educated if they only read one book?
They can't be.
And so, exactly. And so I look at the preacher sisters as one-book scholars. You wouldn't send anybody anywhere and claim that they know anything reading one book. Now, I'm not saying that the Bible is not a literary work. What I'm saying is history is best suited to reward all research. And you should never believe in anything. You can believe in what you want. But when you believe in things that you don't understand, then you suffer. I think that's what Stevie said.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we got, sister. You can believe whatever you want. But no one can. You keep turning your back on the truth and see how far it gets you. In many respects, that's why our people are in the shape that they in today. Because they believe in things they don't understand. And don't even want to take a look. They love education. But if I came to them with one book in math, science, or anything else, they would look at me like I'm crazy. But that guy today stood up in pulpits all over this country, and for the most part, are basically ignorant. They are the one-book scholars who don't understand jack.
And
that's
they
why
really don't
suffer.
understand the Bible.
That's what I'm saying, sister.
Yeah,
I'm saying the
really
Bible
don't.
is the book to be taken apart and studied extensively, like all other books. You look at the bibliography to see where the person that wrote the book got his information from. Okay? So if you're going to claim to believe in that thing, you better be prepared to do many years of study. Okay? Or the people that come to you better be able to cite you any number of books, not just one. And if they read from verse and chapter, and they're not citing other areas where you can go and get the information from yourself, don't believe nothing that they say. Let me take that back. You can believe anything you want to, because that's exactly what you're doing. You believing in what you want to believe. I'm saying it's the research and the studies that's best suited to reward you. And don't be afraid, because that's what religion does now. It's predicated on keeping people in fear. Okay? Because that's what the European system of religion does. It scares you, and if you don't do what them damn preachers tell you to do, you're doomed to eternal damnation. The one-book scholars. You know, I'd just soon go see Miss Rudolph. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, Just Google Richard Pryor. That nigga's crazy. Miss Rudolph was that African woman, that old sister from back in the day, who knew all them remedies. You know, if you fell down and had a 6-inch gash on your leg, she can go get us some snuff and some tobacco and mix up some turpentine with it and 2-3 drops of water and put it on there, and the next day your scar was gone. That's Miss Rudolph. And all of us remember Miss Rudolph. But again, now we want to go to Walgreens or one of the neighborhood drugstores and get some synthetic stuff. When Miss Rudolph just went to her cabinet and got some stuff that basically came out the ground, etc. We call that voodoo and all that kind of stuff. Go ahead, sister.
No, I'm just saying that is true. Now, this Trivium, also, isn't this part of the Masonic code or something here? So they're taking this and using it against the population, the masses of people.
Yeah, well, once you understand the seven liberal arts, now I gave you the first three, right? Grammar, logic, and rhetoric. Okay? I think that it's important for people to understand that we don't use that system anymore. And that's very, very important. Because governments understand, particularly 100 years ago, a little more than 100 years now, toward the turn of the last century, that in order to control the people, you got to control how they think. And so they took that system out of the educational system, okay, just like they did with the music system. And they put in place something that we know today as a psychological construct, psychology. That's Edward Bernays. You know, I've been talking about Edward Bernays for some time, okay?
Right.
And by using the psychological construct, that's why Rupert Murdoch can be, his operation is termed a black ops, a black operation, psyops, psychological operations. Everything the military do, they call it psychological operations. The media, advertising,